It is all over for Jailton Almeida in the heavyweight division as the UFC has decided to cut him. What are the implications of this and why did the UFC do this? Let's talk about it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. This is MMA 365, the greatest UFC news YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe, especially because Jon Jones currently talking to the Wise Beaver about how to plan global domination. And we need to stop Jon Jones because we don't want Jon Jones to dominate the world. The only way we can stop him is if you hit that subscribe button. Thank you. So, it was announced yesterday that Jailton Almeida has been cut from the UFC. And while I did think that his last two fights were stinkers, I don't exactly think that this is warranted. I mean, he just lost a split decision, a very close fight against potential title contender Alexander Volkov, and yeah, that fight was boring, but still, this is a sport. In sports, sometimes things are boring. We want to see the best of the best, and Jailton Almeida, even if his last two fights were boring, definitely proof that he is among the top heavyweights in the UFC. So it is frustrating to me the fact that heavyweights are seemingly just not afforded any grace in the UFC, where it's not just that you have to win, but you have to win in entertaining fashion. And a lot of that is to do with UFC matchmaking, I believe. But Hilton Almeida, he certainly didn't do himself any favors. I really wish he would work on his stand up game rather than his smudge wrestling style. But still, it's kind of baffling to me that this guy was in a title eliminator fight like 4 months ago in October. If he won that fight and he was one judge away from doing so, then he'd be next up to fight Tom Aspinall. And now, one fight later, he's gone. It doesn't sit right with me. And this isn't the first time the UFC has cut a heavyweight contender, even a ranked heavyweight contender. They did this a few months ago with the Biggie Boy, Jairzinho Rosenstrike, and he is came off a loss against Sergey Pavlovich, who again is a top heavyweight, but Rosenstrike kind of cemented himself as right around that like top 8 to top 15 in the heavyweight division. But it didn't matter because the UFC decided to let him go because his wins weren't entertaining enough. And at this point, you really have to wonder what the place of the heavyweight division is in the UFC. Because this is a division that historically carries a lot of gravitas. I mean, Muhammad Ali was the heavyweight boxing champion, and I feel like there is a level of casual appeal where you want to see the biggest bodies compete in mixed martial arts. You want to see those big, strong guys fight each other. There are plenty of ranked, boring fighters in other divisions, but in the heavyweight division, if you're boring, you get cut, even if you win. It's kind of mind boggling to me. And the division is extremely thin now, but in large part, that's the UFC's own fault, in my opinion, because that guys so quickly, you don't give them a chance to rebound. I mean, Almeida announced that he would try to transition to light heavyweight, which could be a better fit for him, but nope. Maybe he can do it in another promotion, but at least for the immediate future, we won't see Jailton Almeida again. I'd be lying to you if I was said I was bursting with anticipation to see Jailton Almeida fight again, but you're really just gonna cut him so soon? Why is Austin Lane in the UFC? There are just so many other boring fighters, boring in other divisions, and Jailton Almeida doesn't even get a chance to get a tune-up rebound fight at light heavyweight. Just cut ties. Bye bye. Adios. Really? I just don't think it's a good business decision. It's normal for fighters to pivot weight classes, especially in their the later years of their career, but Jailton Almeida didn't even get the chance to try. And this is someone who was a top five heavyweight a month ago. And he was in a title eliminator 4 months ago. So I really think that a large reason why the heavyweight division is so thin is it's because of the UFC's own shortcomings. I mean, if you're a uber athletic, big human being, why would you pick up mixed martial arts when you could make, say, an NFL practice squad and make 800,000 a year? That's a lot of money. That's a lot more money than presumably everyone but the top UFC heavyweights are making. My personal favorite example to prove this is Jon Jones is one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time, but he's not even the highest earning athlete in his family, probably, because his brother Chandler Jones played in the NFL, and Chandler Jones was a very good NFL player, but far from one of the all time greats like Jon Jones is. But Chandler Jones signed contracts for 80 and $50 million during his career. Jon Jones probably never touched that amount of money. That's generational wealth. And I'm well aware that the NFL pulls in more revenue than the UFC does, but the UFC's revenue split, as last announced, is 18%. Fighters earn 18% of UFC profits. That's not a very good ratio compared to every other major sports league. In the NBA, the MLB, the NFL, that ratio is right around 50%. Some leagues it's 51, some leagues it's 49. So where's all that UFC money going? I don't really know. There's a Paramount deal. There's $1 billion of cash inflow every year to pay these fighters. And the only thing that we've had announced so far is $25,000 you get a finish. You make $1 billion more a year. We're talking 25,000 increase in each fighter pay. And that's if they get a finish. Big whoop. Francis Ngannou left the UFC for this exact reason. And there's an extremely promising heavyweight in another promotion, Rico Verhoeven. He's a Dutch kickboxer. He could be a UFC title contender very easily, but the UFC hasn't signed him, and money is definitely a big reason why. Because it's one thing to be a fighter on the early prelims who has a poor record, but if you're a fighter who's proven yourself and earned a spot in the top 15 of the rankings, in theory, you're one of the 15 best fighters in the world in your weight class, you're getting cut. I mean, I'd imagine that at some point, other athletes are going to think, why even practice mixed martial arts at all when this just isn't a very favorable proposition for me? I mean, I would be extended a lot of grace in any other sport that I pick up. You don't see NBA athletes getting cut for being boring. Get cut because you're not good enough. I could see the UFC struggling to sign fighters in the future for this exact reason, but I hope things change. I hope things go in a better direction in terms of fighter pay and the UFC roster. But let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe in order to thwart Jon Jones's plan of global domination. That's very important. Thank you.